everyone, and welcome back to the Tiqvah Clinic. This month is September, which is Suicide Prevention Month, and so I wanted to share something with you that's maybe a little heavier than normal, but I think you'll appreciate it. It really speaks to the brokenness that we so often see in people, and it's a reminder to maintain connections and really reach out when you see something wrong. I heard my name being called before I saw his face. "Mom, Mom." I could hear the tension in his voice and quickly responded. My son doesn't often call me with such intensity, and I could tell he was upset. "What is it?" I asked, but I could tell by the look on his face something was very wrong. It's my friend," he said, holding his phone tentatively in one hand. "She's having a hard time, and I wanted to know if you would talk to her." Of course I would, but I didn't know her. I didn't know anything about her. So while I was pleased that my son had thought to come to me with his problem, I was uncertain what to say. "She's saying some scary things, talking about hurting herself," he went on, and I stopped in my tracks. Girl troubles I could imagine, friendship issues I could help with, but I felt my heart in my throat at what my teenage son was saying. He went on. "She's been cutting herself for a while now and hasn't told anyone. Now she's talking about committing suicide. Tonight. I think maybe you could help her." I could feel myself starting to panic at the raw admission, but on the heels of that I felt overwhelming relief that my son had felt safe to come to me, to ask me something so personal, so real. As a healthcare professional, I've asked those same questions of patients 1,000 times, but somehow they stuck in my throat this time. Do you want to hurt yourself? Do you have a plan? Do you have any weapons or means of carrying out the plan with you? And this time, the answers were all yes. He spent the evening on the phone with his friend, keeping her talking, maintaining critical contact, and buying time, while my husband and I made multiple phone calls to get help for this kid. It was several hours later, after EMS and counselors had made contact with her family, that we were all able to sit down and think about what might have happened. I didn't know my son's friend other than a name and a grade level in school, and I didn't know her parents, but I do now. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to meet them, all of them. They are wonderful people who love their kids as passionately as I love mine. And as we ended our first conversation, I posed this question. If we can't be there for each other and for each other's kids, just what good are we doing? It isn't often I feel compelled to write about something so heavy, so dark, but our community has been overwhelmed with multiple tragedies over the past few months, and it's heartbreaking. I'm talking about the multiple teen suicides that have happened here recently. As a parent, it's hard to think about, impossible to even imagine. I can hardly even make my mind go there, and so it's hard to imagine the absolute devastation experienced by the families involved. Loving a child more than your own life, only to have them struggle with something so difficult they decide to end their own life. As parents, there's little we wouldn't do for our children, even giving our own lives if needed, to protect them. But to know that you couldn't save them from that one final dark place is too much to bear. Several weeks later, my son called me while I was at work one day. "Mom, it happened again." Another young adult had made that awful choice, and I could hear the despair in his voice. A kid he had known and gone to school with. It crosses socioeconomic boundaries and racial divides, and there is no vaccination for it. The only comfort I could offer was that there was at least one kid, one friend, who he had been able to help, and who did not make that devastating decision. And as I began to think, what could we do if we as a family, as friends, began to reach out and ask the hard questions? What if we consciously cultivate a connection with our friends where those questions are asked and answered? What if we resolve to do these specific things? Number 1, be available, not just be around, be present. Number 2, be aware. You won't know when there's a change in behavior or attitude if you don't know what the baseline was. Number 3, be blunt. Don't beat around the bush. Number 4, be a pest. That one should be self-explanatory. Number 5, be accountable. Choose to get to really know your friends, your loved ones, and be a part of their lives. And so this blog is a little different than others you might see or read. As we end Suicide Awareness Month, I'm issuing a challenge to everyone out there, including myself, to find at least one friend or family member, and as awkward as it might be, make that connection. Make a commitment to be there for them, not just once, but routinely. Get to know them and ask the hard questions. After all, if we can't be there for each other, just what good are we doing? If you or anyone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts or feelings or considering acting on them, please reach out to a medical professional and get help, or get help for your friend or your family member. If you're in the state of Tennessee, we'd love to help you and talk with you. Reach out to the Tiqvah clinic. The information for contacting us is in the description below. We would love to talk with you and get you the help that you need. So y'all have a good evening, and hopefully we'll talk soon.